that are being shared and uploaded online. For example, we have Facebook posts, we have messages sent, and we have pictures being uploaded and news being uploaded, and all of these can be considered various forms of information. Okay, understood what is ICT?
Yes, ma'am.
Information and communication technology.
Yeah. So now coming to understanding like what exactly it is. So you see this ICT, these three letters everywhere, right? Particularly in education. But what does it, how does it felicitate? Apart from the explaining an acronym, it is also, there is a universally accepted definition of ICT, because the concepts, methods, and applications involved in ICT are constantly evolving, on an almost daily basis. So it's difficult to keep up with the changes. They happen so fast. Every day we have new technology coming up. So let's focus on the three words behind this ICT, that is information communication technology. So a good way to think about ICT is to consider all the uses of digital technology that already exists, to help people, individuals, businesses, and organizations to use information. So ICT it also covers any product that will store. It is in the process of storing, retrieving, manipulating, transmitting, or receiving information electronically in a digital form. Okay, for example, we can say personal computers, digital television, we have email, and now we have robots also, right? So ICT is concerned with the storage, retrieval, manipulation, or transmission, or receiving. So importantly, it is also concerned with the way these different users can work with each other. And it is also mainly used in education and business sectors, right? And what are the other examples of ICTs where it is particularly used? Any examples?
In school and colleges.
Yeah, education sector, business, we have everywhere. ICT is even in, we have ICT and governance also. So it is
Industries and offices work.
used in all the sectors, right? Now, if we talk about the evolution of information and communication technologies, like how does it evolve? How have information and communication technologies evolved? It can be divided into 4 phases. Okay. See, the first was the mainframe phase, which was from the mid 1960s to the late 1970s. This was called as the mainframe phase. Then the second was the microcomputer phase. It started from early 1980s to the mid 1990s. Okay. Then there was the third phase, which is the web phase, which started, I think, in the late 1990s. And now we are in the digital phase, right? This is the fourth phase which we have entered. Okay, so across these 4 phases, 3 key trends can be, discussed, or we can say we can observe here. So the first is the increased accessibility, right? We have, access to all the things. The accessibility has increased. Then the second is the increased interactivity. The interaction has also increased. And the third is the diffused origination. Like we can track and trace from where a particular, message has been originated. We can track. So ICT is the technology required for information processing, in particular the use of electronic computers or communication devices and software applications to, what does it do? It convert, store, protect, and it also process the data. It can transmit, and also we can retrieve the information from anywhere, anytime, right? So this technology has made it convenient for the storage of information, protection of information, transmission, and also retrieving of information. So now information and communication technologies can be defined as, the collection of technologies and applications which enable processing, storing, and dissemination of information by electronic means, right? And to whom? To a wide variety of users, or we can say clients, right? The users, the end users. So thus it increased the efficiency of information related activities. So ICT is mainly dealt with the information communication. Okay. Any doubts here? Understood the definition of ICTs? And then ICTs can also be characterized by the speed of their technology, the technological advance, and the rapidly increasing range of applications in many sectors of professional and personal life as well, as we have discussed in the earlier offline classes, right? So additionally, thanks to this digitization, it is today possible to reduce all sorts of information and data to binary digits, like zeros, ones, and this zeros and ones binary digits can be processed, it can be stored, then it can be copied, shared by using different applications now. And these digits travel seamlessly over some electronic networks. There are some electronic networks which enable intellectual this capital to be transferred efficiently. And the improved capacity provided by this broadband technology, it is also opening the way for further development of virtual content or e-content. Then it is also used in various forms of businesses, and it has also led to the growth of what is known as virtual markets, right? We have e-commerce, businesses are online now. So because of the high economic benefits expected from ICTs, they have become very popular in this present information age. Okay. So see, the ability to record, or the use of information, it has helped to simplify work, right? And it has also led to an increase in productivity, because the computer has enabled to the automation and the manufacture of products people consume. And it is, we now have industrial robots now, right? We have large scale production, mass production, then a large scale automation manufacturing processes. It has enabled widespread access to affordable goods now. So the here the use of technology to deliver performance, they have led to the re-engineering of businesses, that is the way the business perform their functions. So computer technology also has enabled the move from mass production to mass customization now. See, for example, I have said right earlier, if you want to remodel your kitchen, you can go to a store, and then you can work with a computer that will help you design your kitchen, like see what it will look like and how much it will cost. So this is known as the computer aided design, that is CAD. It is done through virtual reality software, right? So through this software, you can also move around in that proposed kitchen. Okay. So this is also one of the example of how it has led to mass customization. Then see, with the VR software, with the virtual reality software, you can move around and you can propose the changes. And then when you're satisfied with the design, the computer will develop the list of parts, and then it can also produce the design drawings like a blueprint, right, for you to select, and then other functions as well. So in some applications, this customized design information is then fed into that computer aided manufacturing factories. So all these have, earlier it was not there, this kind of setup was not there, right? But with the introduction of new technologies, all these mass customizations have also taken place. If you have any doubts, you can unmute and ask in between also. So the computer also manages the masses of information, right? And the information which is needed to organize the complexity, because markets are now global, right? It is defined in world terms. So increasingly, people are working from home on their desktop computers now, and computer-based technologies are being invented to help people cope up with with so much wealth of information that is now available on their computers. So Now, as we are doing this course, students can do courses in the same way and use the technology to aid in their learning processes. So you can say you are also participating in this evolution now, right? That is the use of ICTs in education sector. Then talking about the use of ICT in telecommunications, see the rapid growth of telecommunications and its merging with computing technology it has enabled you to use your computers to communicate to the worldwide, right? Through the use of internet. So the infrastructure to allow computers to connect with each other was already in place when the personal computer was, has started to become widespread earlier. So the parallel growth of telecommunications has been described as having the roads, the maintenance infrastructure in place with the when the first mass production cars rolled. For example, see, in the last classes we have discussed how we have moved on from agricultural society to an industrial society and now to an information society, right? The massive shift. So now we have this international communication also through across borders through the internet, right? So we have digital technology which generates, stores and protects and processes the data through binary digits or bits, that is the ones and zeros. And see, its role in the society was there since the early 1990s. And then as the industrial revolution took place, so it is called digital because information embodied as text, sound, or moving images, animation, or photographs, it can be coded into binary digits, that is zeros and ones, and it will be quickly processed and transmitted by computers. And then it will be decoded and it will be presented in a form that people can understand or comprehend. So this conversion process is known as digitization. That means the conversion from zeros to ones, right? To a format where people can read, understand, and comprehend is known as digitization. Okay. See, there has been something called as digital revolution, right? Since we can say the latest or technology nowadays, digital technology can be found not only in computers, but we can find it in a wide range of consumer electronic devices, right? Including your mobile phones, cell phones, right? Mobile phones. Then we have digital cameras and we have camcorders, MP3 players. So digital technology also allows books and manuscripts. You know what is manuscripts, right? The research papers. It can be scanned and it can be transcribed into digital form. Okay, and it can be accessed and searched online anywhere from through an, of course, an electronic device. So these are called as digital devices, right? The devices, the electronic device which can be used to access the data online. Then we have convergence. So what is convergence? The technologically rich societies have entered the digital age and media industries are, they're coming up with new opportunities and threats which can be afforded by what is called convergence. That means the mixing of all the media people tend to get very excited about convergence because it holds so much of promise, right? When you see an news online, the melding together of different media, incorporating of different forms of media through personalized service, the merging of different forms of media, the print, the text, the images, sound, graphics. It is known as simply called as the merging of different forms of media into one is the convergence, and it is possible only through the use of internet. Any doubts? Convergence?
No, madam. Continue.
See, the convergence in India has arrived faster, right? The convergence would help in webcasting. Then we have something called as video on demand, that is the internet via cable. So the much awaited delivery of internet through cable network uh, has already begun in India as well. We have this optical fiber cable. It carries more bandwidth, resulting in more signals being carried with superior clarity. And now these cable companies are expected to, rule the roost due to investments made by them in the cable networks. There are huge investments being made. And we have the upgradation of cable network, that is the optical fiber. And it also poses tough competition, for all the players in the market, because the broadband network on its existing network are offered at a very low cost. So the cable operators deliver the cable and satellite channels to the consumers, right? So with more and more channels going pay to air, they would open up a subscription revenue for the broadcasters as well. So in future, it will emerge as a major source of revenue, which can be much larger than the advertisement revenue stream as well. This is according to a research. So the channel will be carried on two platforms, that is the direct to operator and direct to home, that is DTH. So both the services have user addressability in this era of convergence. So now convergence has become very important. It's a very important aspect of the present information age or digital age. So in its current usage, it refers to two distinct, the related phenomena. That means the way the all transmissions media, they carry all the transmissions through single network platform. Okay, we have something called as digital divide. It means the ICT, the information communication technologies, has divided the whole world into two parts. See, one of those who possess the wealth and who can afford the ICT and its services like the gadgets or computers, mobile phones, with the access to these communication technologies, and the other people who, those who do not have the required wealth to possess the gadgets and services. So as it would be apparent from above, the rich countries and the people, even in the poor countries, can afford to make use of the ICT services, right? And would be able to survive in the technological era. But then those who cannot afford, what happens? They would slowly lag behind in the race towards development. So in other words, those who are wealthy would become wealthier, and those who are poor would continue to be poorer, right? So this will have implications on individuals, then it can have implications on families, societies, and even on nations. So it is generally believed that ICT may have created a new class of untouchables living in information poverty, right? Then there are several cities which do not have, there are several rural areas as well who people do not have access to ICTs, right? They're living in information poverty at one level, and a new then there is a new cadre of high technology entrepreneurs on the other hand, which they have access to all these forms of technology, right? And then there was a report released by World Economic Forum, which states that India has the widest digital divide. That means still there are certain higher section of people who doesn't have access to information communication and technologies. The digital divide is the gap, right? The gap between the people who have access to information communication technologies and those who do not, that is the vice versa. So according to the report, see, though the internet was increasingly popular, there were only 4.5 million internet users and only 43 internet service providers. And urban areas mainly have benefited by ICTs, of course. Then if you talk about New Delhi accounts for more than 70% of India's internet connections compared to other rural areas where they do not have access to even basic communication technologies. So there is a wider gap. Okay. Then talking about the evolution of new media, the new media technologies such as the internet and other forms of digital communication, they are compressing time and space, right? They have compressed. So people are no longer restricted by physical distance since the media they are reducing the need to travel rather than having to be physically present or physically present at the other side of the world. And then TV and other media, what they do is they bring the other side of the world to us, right? There is no longer a need to be together in the same place to share or experience major events, right? Whether they are the for example Olympic games or a presidential elections in USA, we can watch it from the comfort of our homes. So the electronic media and the new communication technologies make such news and events instantly accessible to us wherever we are. Right. And it has also, there is a lot of impact of new media. Today, traditional mass media like newspapers, magazines, radio, and television have been affected in several ways by the revolution in digital technologies, right? Especially by the internet and the World Wide Web. So there are hundreds and thousands of newspapers currently appearing on the internet. So in addition, then many popular print magazines such as the Times or Newsweek and others, they have their presence online. That means they have their online editions. Then talking about radio, radio as a popular commercial medium has been around since the 1930s, So with TV joining it in the 1950s, these technologies were based on the conventional broadcast model, right? Where messages originate from a single source and are disseminated through the airwaves to many listeners. So for decades, the traditional broadcast model dominated the ways in which the radio and television stations communicated with their audiences, right? So with the advent of the internet, radio and TV stations have found a new way to communicate with their audiences, right? Currently, many radio stations and most of them have the national network TV stations, as well as they have the wide range of cable TV channels, and they have a strong presence on the internet. If you see online, you have every media has their presence online now. Be it electronic media, talking about the magazines, newspapers, or even television channels, they have their presence online. Then they have their presence on social media as well. So social media includes message boards, then we have blogs, we have Wikipedia, so we have social networks, right? The social media, it's an extraordinary difficult term to pin down because sometimes it refers to an activity that is blogging, sometimes to a software tool which we call as a blogger, right? Then sometimes it can also refer to a platform, for example Facebook, where you can blog. So it incorporates the term UGC, that means user generated content, the content generated by the users. And yet much of this content is not really social, because social media is also it is also constantly evolving. So just when you think that they are done with a new version, then a new combination emerges, then there are various changes taking place, changing perceptions again. So but whatever the precise definition of social media, there are three reasons why mainstream media organizations are taking social media networks and platforms, they are taking it very seriously. See, because it helps telling better stories. There is always someone who knows more than we do. So news organizations are crowdsourcing. They are crowdsourcing in the sense they are crowdsourcing comments, pictures, videos, and even insights and ideas as well, because this supplements and complements their own news gathering sources, which will enrich their output, right? And social media also is used to make better relationships, right? Engaged users, they tend to be more loyal and spend more time making them more valuable to advertisers or for promoting and selling other company services. The more time a user spend on social media, the more beneficial it is for the advertiser and also for the that social media platform. Then it is also used for getting news users in. That means with audiences spending more and more time with social networks, these have become the obvious place to look for the, if you want to reach for something, if you want to connect with like-minded people.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, sorry for the interference. You are dealing with third unit, ma'am.
I am dealing with some important topics. I'm talking about
Okay, okay. It's unrelated to unit, no?
related.
Actually, you are over. Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So I am making you understand how it is connected. That I am making you explain the term new media. Okay. So see, if we talk about an example, see, during the Mumbai attacks in 2008, the BBC was heavily criticized over the way it republished an unsubstantiated piece of information circulating on Twitter. Okay, the editor, who had to respond to complaints via the blog, the BBC editor's blog, he said that the lessons have been learned and the process and guidelines have been tightened up. That means the audience feedback to his blog post, showed some informal reaction, like don't use Twitter and informal sources. Like people gave some negative reactions. Then they said that we want solid facts and nothing else. And then they also commented on the use of social networks. They told that it's intelligent to see what others know. So there was some controversy. So in the news and information sphere, we had so many protests which were carried on social media, right? On like on Facebook, Twitter. Twitter have also began to change the way media is produced now. The way media is produced, distributed, and consumed. The role of participatory and social media are examples. For example, as we have discussed, the Mumbai attacks in 2008, and then we had several witnesses were taking over the news, and then they were witnessing a historic shift from the control of traditional news organization to the new media, the shift from traditional to new media. Then we have something called as cyber activism. See, cyber refers to the virtual world of internet, that is the World Wide Web. And activism is the efforts directed at promoting a or resisting change. Okay, whether it could be a change in social, political, economic, or other spheres. For example, some rallies, dharna, hunger strikes, boycotts, etc. Okay, so cyber activism is the use of internet or mobile phone based tool, inclusive of the social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as part of the activist programs, especially for communication or community building or fundraising or sometimes lobbying. Okay, so there are various rallies, protests being carried out through social media platforms. This is known as cyber activism. Okay, then using an online campaign, or for example, we had this Greenpeace campaign, and then we also Delhi also used the internet to build a campaign pressing for justice for this Nirbhaya case, right? Then also talking about the Mumbai terror attacks. After the November 2008 attacks in Mumbai, people gathered for a candlelight vigil at a short notice, and it was made possible by an online campaign. And also cyber activism can also be used for mobilization. Okay. For example, see, we had this Occupy Wall Street movement. Have you heard about this? The participants in the Occupy Wall Street movements were mobilized entirely using social media and other internet-based communication tools. You can go through this. Okay. Then another example could be Obama's election campaign in 2007 and 8, which used internet to mobilize young voters and also to raise funds. And in 2019, also most cases of the street protest in Iran and in several Arab countries also used this type of mobilization of cyber activism. Okay, any doubts? See, if you talk about India against corruption, this was also an online campaign. It has used Facebook and Twitter to spread information and to manage, garnish support and coordinate a protest in various cities through this online campaign. And it was, very much organized through Facebook and Twitter. Any doubts? So,
No, madam.
yeah. Democratization of information. Talking about democratization of information. See, what is democracy? What do you know about the term democracy? We live in a democratic country. So what does that mean? What is democracy? Anyone?
The liberty of fundamental rights of citizen of India.
Yeah. Democracy to the people, for the people, of the people.
By the
Heard?
people. It's a common thing.
See, democracy means people's government, and to democratize is to make something available to a large number of people or to make popular. So do you think the internet has democratized access to information?
Yes, ma'am. In both the way, in positive and also in negative way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will be misuse the information, or sometimes it will be beneficial for be aware with the internet.
Yeah, it has both pros and cons. So access to information has two aspects. That means access to the existing information. And the second aspect is the access to the means of creating or disseminating information. Right? Access to already available information can be accessed, right? And the other is creating and disseminating. That means sharing of information. So one widely, there was a argument about new media, internet, is that it would help produce a more equal and more liberated society. This view was based on the advantage that new media, in terms of providing already access information for any individual or group who want to speak. The information can be tailor-made and customized. And then, see, in the sense, we can say that new media is not mediated by powerful interests that controls the content of print and broadcast media, because here anybody can generate the content, right? It is not only one way here. It is user generated content here. See, imagine the situation before internet. What were the sources of information right before internet, and what was the kind of information that was available before the internet?
We have to get the information by newspapers or by oral publicity, and the previous information which is there already in the books and all.
Yeah.
if we search
See, we had
from the
very
library.
limited number of sources, right? Textbooks, newspapers, television. Then we also had traditional knowledge inherited within the families. Then there were limited number of people who had access to sources of knowledge, right? Not everybody used to read encyclopedia books. And then those who could make sense it, right? People were dependent on the knowledgeable person. Knowledgeable people in mass communication, we call them as opinion leaders, right? Who had access to information. So what is the situation now? In terms of improving an ordinary person's access to information, internet has been revolutionary tool here. People can now access information related to education, government, companies, and even, they can also gain knowledge on some sensitive information, right? So this itself is hugely empowering, but it's not just about access to information that, that is useful here. Because here internet is emerging as the ultimate educational resource, right? Now there are dedicated sites for educational material, right? We have open courseware section. We have, where we can access free educational videos, libraries, and ebooks, etc. Scenario has changed. Or have you heard about crowdsourcing?
No.
No. Okay. See, sourcing from the crowd. That means crowdsourcing is a process that involves outsourcing tasks to a distributed group of people. Crowdsourcing means dividing your task to a particular group of people. So this process can be online or offline. See, it is, we have something called as outsourcing also, right? So it is different from the original outsourcing in the sense that, see, here a task or problem is given out to undefined public, okay, rather than a specific organization. People, crowd, means it's general audience. They are undefined people, right? The audiences, they are undefined. So the term crowdsourcing was coined by Jeff Hoff, who was a journalist with Wired magazine. Okay, so he describes the phenomenon of crowdsourcing as, see, the essence of crowdsourcing is to take an overwhelming task and by breaking it up to little chunks, that means dividing it into different sections and distributing it to a larger number of people so that it becomes feasible. Understood? What is crowdsourcing? Taking a task, large number of tasks, segregating it and dividing it to different people so that the job becomes feasible. So crowdsourcing has been made possible by the expanding, reach of internet and also the growing affordability of digital devices, such as we have now digital cameras. See, it was earlier these digital cameras were previously out of reach of most of the people, but now they have, they have a camera in their mobile phones. Okay. See, there are some, I'll tell you some examples. Micromax, the mobile phone Micromax.
Yes.
So they, the mobile phone maker, Micromax, they have outsourced the design of its logo.
Ma'am, camera is also not used. Only mobile camera is used nowadays.
Yeah, mobile camera is used widely. That means the common people who don't have access, they cannot, if they cannot afford a digital camera, they can record it through their mobile phone camera.
Yeah. Even digital camera, no one is using, I think.
No, they are using in media organizations. They still use.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Crowdsourcing is dividing your task, distributing your task to the audiences, to the common people.
There is nothing but public opinion, open public opinion.
here, they become in traditional media organizations, the broadcaster, they define like what is to be transmitted, what is to be, we have this gatekeeping process, right, where the news selection process takes place and they define what is going to be published. But in crowdsourcing, the people, for example, see, I told you last time also, if there is a earthquake or a bomb blast at a particular place, if the journalist cannot be present at that time, the people who are present there, the general people, they record the videos, they talk to people, they present the scenario there, they become the journalists. So what some news channels they do is, they crowdsource this task to these people, the crowd, the people. What they do is, they exclusively record and send to the media organizations. Understood? What is crowdsourcing?
Yes, ma'am.
Crowds, that means dividing the task, segregating, dividing the task to people, different people, to make it feasible. Okay.
That means no feedback, madam, in this case.
I'll give you a simple example. Netflix.
Okay.
Have you heard about Netflix, it streams media content online, right?
Hmm.
They it's an online, right? Netflix, what is Netflix? They stream media content online, and then they have this policy. They offer, certain amount to people who improve their recommendation engine. That means they, take responses, feedback from the crowd, from the general crowd, to give them ideas for improvement. See, it is according to how crowdsourcing is likely, it is, it is likely, and also it is still succeeding in areas that require creativity. Because for example, you can crowdsource in areas like photography, design, right? If you want exclusive photographs from a particular point, you can crowdsource it to people, general audiences. They will do it for you. Are you clear about what is crowdsourcing? Yes, any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So let's move on to web-based newspapers. That is e-papers, right? See, the new information and communication technologies, they have been discussed as both, as Nafisa said, both an opportunity and also a risk from the point of view of the traditionally already established traditional media, right? So as a form of computer-aided communication, the the World Wide Web, that is the WWW, it is equally, incompetent with the traditional form of media or the print media. See, its technical potential greatly surpasses that of the printed newspapers in number of ways. The World Wide Web has the advantages of being interactive. Then it has multimedia of providing internal and external networks, and it also offers selection functions, right? You can select the particular section of paper, news, the possibility of regular updates, and also the access to the archives. That is the earlier newspaper sections. Then rapid access to a large number of newspapers, and then also being paperless and creating number of then there are so many problems with the traditional forms of media as well. If you, for example, if you subscribe to a newspaper, you have this problem of disposing, right, of collecting of, if collection and disposing of all the paper. So one advantage left to the newsprint is that For reading, it does not require any sophisticated or any technical equipment, right? So this offers the reader a high level of flexibility because newsprint can basically be read in any place at any time. Here, the reader can observe the information offered at his own pace. So even the fact that the reader can touch and feel the printed paper while turning the pages, maybe maybe it may be some importance. People are still still habituated to that. So on the one hand, World Wide Web presents a threat to the traditional distribution system, and on the other hand, it gives published houses the opportunity to offer up-to-date information and also on advertisements, and then we have additional services. That means subscription model for the revenue. So newspaper would cost on a monthly, for example, rupees 100, whereas the online news, though it is said to be free, they would definitely incur a monthly fee in the name of subscription charges, right? So what are the other advantages of e-papers? According to you, what are the advantages of e-papers, electronic papers?
Now we can learn the designs and what are the techniques of editing and which news are selected for the important front page and the themes and colors, the web pages, the design, the rows, different columns of the newspaper will be useful after seeing this thing.
Yeah, very good. And another basic thing is, see, suppose if you're sitting here in Hyderabad, you can access newspaper from Delhi. You can access a newspaper from US,
International
Washington
also.
Post. Yeah, you can read it
Internationally
anywhere.
we can aware.
Yeah, and you don't have to carry the paper physically wherever you go, right? You can access it through your mobile phone. You can save, you can download.
Yes, madam.
Yes. And what are the advantages of printed forms of newspaper? Printed newspaper, traditional newspapers? Any advantage? What do you?
We can store it as a hard copy for our future use. Wherever we get the sample, we can get from the hard papers, and we can store it for the future use. And also, it is in many ways we can use it, recycle it in other things also.
Yeah. We, according to a research, there is a research. According to that, see, if we read something in a printed form in a paper, so if you you will remember and recollect it for a longer duration.
Yes, ma'am. In study also, we have habituated with the books now. So we cannot have the idea about the digitalization. So it's very hard to understand and get the concentration. If we get the hard copy, then we can concentrate on the particular topic.
Yeah.
And also, we can pay concentration over the story and the theme. So newspaper also plays the important role, like books.
And still people love the feel of newspapers. They want to hold it, read it. They say that especially the older generation people, they are addicted to newspapers, right?
But
Every morning.
nowadays everything has reduced, ma'am.
Yeah, they want they need newspapers along with a cup of coffee early morning when they wake up. They are used to it.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Their routine is full of this only. They are having habituated with this time that particular time is only for the newspaper reading. So with that cup of tea or the breakfast time, after some nap, they will get the time now wherever these old people. So usually in our society also we used to get this type of thing. Okay, newspaper will come in month or week wise, or sometime it will be every day. But some people will subscribe for the hard copies only nowadays also.
Though with the advent of e-paper, still we have libraries being equipped with the traditional newspapers, right? Physical copies. And people still prefer. So both, both of them has an advantage. So it is a misconception that with the advent of e-papers or digital technology, the old or traditional form of media is dying, right? It is not true. They are constantly upgrading themselves,
Yes, ma'am.
meet the needs of the people. The with the advent of technologies, they are constantly upgrading themselves, right? So both has their own advantages, both have their own pros and cons. So they are not in competition, but they are upgrading. See, still they have their physical copies, right? Hindu, Times of India newspapers, if you talk about them, they have their, the circulation figures are constant. It has not declined with the advent of e-papers. But youngsters, they prefer reading e-papers, right? They prefer reading papers online. So they have their, what it has done, it has increased their revenue model. How? To the physical copies, they get their
By ads.
by ads, and also their subscription fees also.
Please. Enhance the
Online
paper
and-
rates.
Yeah, paper, online and offline both.
Hmm.
So it has not declined. The readership has also not declined, but they have upgraded. Yeah, constantly. It has, in fact, it has increased, I would say. So we can divide the audiences, based on their, the demography, based on their age, gender, but the preferences would differ, right? The particular age group of people would prefer reading it online, and certain section of people would prefer reading it offline, physically.
Yes, madam. Younger generation is more preferable in e-paper only.
E-paper. It is most customized. We can say it is customized. So people want, if some people doesn't like certain section, they will just download whatever information they require. Whether
Yes,
they
swipe up to the
like,
next section. Right.
yeah,
Yes.
they like the main supplement, or whether they like the additional Sunday supplement. So they have a choice.
Yes, yes.
You can download according to their preferences.
They directly go to the next section.
Yeah. So the examination point of view, e-paper is also important question. Please make a note of it.
Okay, ma'am.
Digital divide. Digital divide, convergence, what we have discussed today. These are important questions
Okay.
for examination point of view. Yeah. So whenever you have time, just go through some e-papers and observe it. Okay. Which class you have now? Yes, which class you have? Or you have a break now?
Okay, madam.
So we'll end the class now.
Okay, thank you, madam. Half an hour we are having break. Again, we are having class.
Okay.
And then the next class,
Till
which subject?
6:30 we are having it. 3 more
So
classes.
have your lunch now.
Yes.
No, madam.
No, now we have to take lunch after namaz.
We will see you next time.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Next class.
And then next subject?
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye.